All right, I think it's October 4th, 2017. It's been cold again, and now the sun is out and it's getting warm. I've removed that honey super. I think I did it over the weekend, a couple days ago, 2 or 3 days ago, and I didn't get any honey out of it. I took some of the foundationless frames and I crushed them up, and it was just couldn't get honey to flow from it. I hardly get any honey out of it. So basically no honey from that honey super. Earlier in the year, there seemed to be honey in the honey super, and it seemed to be heavy. And then when I checked it again a week or so ago, it was lighter. So I would say the honey has been consumed instead of capped. And the whole theory behind that is either the drones ate it, or they moved it down into the hive for winter storage, or that's about it, really. I think what happened is I put in so many foundationless frames in this hive throughout the summer and in the early spring, that they put all their resources into building comb and making drones, and they didn't have as much resources left for making honey, and so I didn't get any honey. The top box, the top deep, is full of honey. Most of it isn't capped, but that full thing is full of honey. So I think had I kept them down to 2 deeps, I might have got something out of it, but it wasn't a very strong hive, and so it goes. Okay, let's pause this for a second and talk about the difference between a hive and a colony. Everybody gets them mixed up, and I do too. We often refer to the hive as a strong hive, and boy, that's a big hive. Well, that's actually correct, but a strong hive and a hive of bees flew away, all that sort of thing. But a hive is just the home where the bees live. It's the box. It's the actual wooden structure. That's the hive. So when you hear people say, oh, the hive flew away and never came back, or the hive died, that's like saying a box died, or your house died, or your house flew away. It's the hive is the home. The colony is the bees. The colony is the living thing, and that's really what we're talking about most of the time, but everybody says hive, and so do I sometimes. Right, if it was a strong hive in the 3 deeps, it would have been great, probably, but it was a weak hive, then it slowly built up and got strong, but by that point, it was too late. I wasn't getting much honey out of it. So that's what's happened. So I got basically no honey from this hive this year. I mean, I did. I got them out of the deeps, but really not a whole lot. I would say in liters, I probably got anywhere between 1 and 2 liters of honey, which is not a lot. And in pounds, probably less than 10 pounds or something like that. I don't know exactly. Not much. So that's it. Not much for honey, but well, that's what you get. I probably could have built them up if I'd done other things with them, like stolen brood from other hives or... Oh, I mentioned that I should have stolen, or I could have stolen some brood, but I didn't have any brood to steal from. So this is a really good example of how hard it is to keep bees when you only have one hive. So a lot of new beekeepers start off on a budget like I did, and I still do. And everyone, sometimes you think, well, just for cost savings, you got to get one hive. And it's not great having one hive. And even though you can see in this year of my single hive beekeeping, it turned out, okay. I got a little bit of honey, but really I didn't get a lot. And had I been able to steal a frame or 2 of brood from a stronger colony, I would have been able to boost up that colony's strength and probably would have got more honey, and it would have been more fun and all that stuff. So it's a great example of the difference between having one hive and having more than one hive. So you can steal resources from other colonies, and you can compare the strength or the weaknesses of one colony with another. Because if you don't have another colony, especially when you're starting out, if you don't have another colony to look at and to compare it with, you don't know the difference. They could be both dying, or one could be sick. You don't know. You need some reference, some way to compare the differences between the 2 hives. I don't know, put them in the sun instead of a bit in the shade, stuff like that, but whatever. Low maintenance, this is what you get. So yeah, no honey. And so now today is going to be, it just got warm later today, around lunchtime, and it's going to be supposedly warm tomorrow, maybe the next day. So I might go in and put a feeder on this just to be safe, and see if they take down some syrup. They're still bringing in pollen. Everything has pretty much died off by now. It's October, so Most of the goldenrod is gone. Goldenrod has been fading away, drying up for the past couple weeks. Japanese knotweed has been coming in. And other than that, there's not a lot. There's some things, there's some aster, like daisies around, and a few things, but not much. So this is it for the year. And we've had some cold days. So I'm in cold days where the bees were completely shut down, cold enough. The funny thing is they haven't expelled the drones yet. I've seen a little bit of drone expulsion, but not a lot. And that's weird. I usually don't see that. So I don't know what's going on with that. So anyway, they haven't expelled the drones yet. But so other than that, I plan to give them some syrup and then put on the mesh on the bottom once it starts getting cold. Because once it gets cold, then mice and shrews will try to get into the hive where it's warm. So I'm going to put the mesh on before it gets cold, and put the mesh on during a warm day when I know there's nothing inside the hive. So I'm not trapping a shrew or a mouse inside the hive. I might pull the top off that right now there's the leftover bee escape board on top there that I used to remove the honey super the other day. And that's still on the top of the hive, so I could probably, and they're probably clinging to the bottom of that right now, so it's sort of a slight mess. So I could pull that off and put it in front of the hive, and they could crawl inside, and then I could put the feeder on top of that. So maybe I'll do that, or maybe I won't. But anyway, I'll probably do it by tomorrow if I don't do it today. This hive is painted dark green, so I don't think I'm going to put a wrap on it for the winter, though maybe I will. I don't know. I'm really unsure, because I really haven't had much success with these bees since I've moved to Flat Rock. Part of the reason is this year I bonked my head and I couldn't do anything with them, but even before that, and even with this hive, which I thought would have been done pretty good on its own, didn't do that great. I don't know what it is with Flat Rock. Maybe I'm kind of thinking maybe they might need a little extra winter care. I don't know. So my concerns about keeping bees in Flat Rock, it's interesting. This was in 2017 and now it's 2019 as I record this little narration interlude. And there's definitely a difference in Flat Rock compared to all the other places I've kept bees. I've kept bees in close to downtown St. John's. I've kept bees in Logie Bay, and I've kept bees in Portugal Cove, and now I've kept some in Flat Rock. And Flat Rock is clearly the coldest place I've kept bees. My bees are, you can see the Labrador Current from my house, in the Labrador Current in the ocean. So you can see the cold Labrador Current in the cold North Atlantic Ocean from my house, and it's just like a fog rising off the current, and it's freezing. And I don't think I've had bees this close to the ocean before, and this is why my bees are not as quick to build up in the spring because it's freezing, and they don't come out of winter as strongly as my other bees used to. And I used to keep my bees in partial sunlight, but not all. They were never in full sunlight, and it was never a problem. And now it is a problem. I think my bees, because it's so cold in Flat Rock, my bees would benefit from being in full sunlight. But I don't really have a place to put them in full sunlight, so I'm just going to have to do with it. But make do. Anyhow, that's that. Flat Rock, yes, it is cold. I don't know if I need to wrap them, absolutely give them sugar syrup in the spring. And I don't know if I'm getting the rest of my hives back from the guy who's taking care of my bees right now. I met my neighbor across the street because he found one of our chickens with its head bitten off because a fox came around and killed one of the chickens the other day, and he found the dead chicken in his yard, and he didn't seem to be bothered by it, and he didn't seem to be bothered by the possibility of my bees all over his car. And I even asked him that. I said, are you know, I don't have many bees on the go right now, and I don't really want to set them up because I don't want them pooping all over your car. You might have noticed at certain times of the year you're going to get poop all over the car. And he says, oh yeah, I kind of see it once in a while, but and he said he didn't really care. He didn't seem too concerned about it. And I thought maybe, his shiny brand new pickup truck, he'd be all over cleaning it and stuff like that. And he seemed like he was cool with it. So that's a bit of a relief, because we'll see what happens once spring comes and his truck gets totally nailed and he realizes now that it is from my bees. He might sing a different tune then, but it is it is a whole different ball game when you know your neighbors are cool with your bees, because that's been a major bummer for me, and a source of stress for my beekeeping even here, because I don't want people bothering me, and I don't want to bother people with my bees again. I got a bee in my face. And yeah, so we'll see about that. We've had, I don't know how many chickens we've had in total, but only one of them had died from natural causes. The rest have been taken out by either hawks or foxes. The last one was taken out was the white one, and our previous white one. Her name was Peggy. She had a limp, and now Goldie was the last one who just took a hit. And they just seemed like, oh yeah, Goldie's gone. Oh well, whatever. They're just back in business, because you know they're just chickens. I talked earlier about how there was a bee escape board on top of the hive, and I used it to remove a honey super, and all the bees were clumping to the bottom of that bee escape board. So I pulled that escape board off and I put it in front of the hive, and what you're seeing is all the bees that were clumping to the escape board going back into the hive. It's October 9th, it's 15 degrees Celsius. I have a feeder on the top of the hive there, some sugar syrup in there, and this is the first hot day we've had for a long time, and the bees are just clumping at the top entrance there, the 3 holes in the top, and there's so many bees trying to come and go, or to get in, that they're just falling in clumps off the hive. And I think most of them are drones. Now I hope this is because they're expelling the drones. They don't want the drones in the hive anymore. And I hope it's not because the queen is dead and there's a drone laying worker in there, and I've got a hive full of drones instead of workers. I just don't know. This issue of the drones not being expelled from the hive until October or late October, this seems to be a common thing now. I'm seeing this all the time now. It's 2019, and most of my colonies had lots of drones well into November. It was strange. So I don't know what to think of that. I think it's just in Newfoundland we have a delayed season for everything. Everything is delayed. Everything is at least a month behind the rest of the world. And so I'm just going to go with that. It's October 15th. It's 12:15 in the afternoon, or noon. And it's about 10 degrees Celsius. A little bit of sun today, a little bit of chill in the air. The bees have been active since the morning sun hit them. And I've noticed too that, I'm just going to zoom in. The bees are coming at the bottom of the hive here, and over there too. And I haven't seen that for a while. They've been ignoring the bottom entrance for a while. Those could be guard bees. I think they are guard bees. I see there's some wasps still around. I see them fighting with a few wasps. So I've got this feeder up on the top. I've had that there for about a week, I guess. And still seems to be a lot of drones, although this morning I saw a fair number of workers flying around. So I don't know what's going on there. And I just dumped a bunch of dry sugar in the top feeder, and I just poured water in it. I didn't even mix it. I just let it dissolve like that, and that's how I'm doing it right now. At this time of year, everything is dead. There is nothing left. I don't see the bees bringing in any pollen or anything, and I don't see any flowers. I think the last of the Japanese knotweed has died off. At least the flowers have. And there's a few things here and there, but it's definitely the end of the season, I would say. If all goes well, or if all has been going well, this top deep is full of honey, which it was the last time I looked at it. It wasn't all capped, but it was full of honey. And there's a wasp right there. And hopefully, what I've been told, they need 12 deep frames of honey to get through the winter. So if there's 10 up there, then there's got to be at least 2 down there, and maybe even something down here in the bottom, which would be great. And then I don't have to give them any sugar. I might even go for this no sugar thing this year if it works out that way. I mentioned that the bees need 12 deep frames of honey to get through the winter, and I've had colonies with a full deep of honey up top, and I've given them sugar just to be safe, but I've always discovered that there's always tons of honey left over in the spring, even when I've given them sugar. So I'm going to try to, keep the faith, and whenever I see a colony going into winter with a full deep of honey up top, I'm not going to feed them unless I see them absolutely starving. But I'm going to try to hold back on the sugar feeding in the winter if I can. Yes, so in the bottom entrance, I haven't seen them expelling the drones yet, so I haven't put on the 1/4-inch mesh. And I'm not getting my hives back for the winter that are being taken care of by another beekeeper. He said he'll keep them at his place for the winter. So we'll see. I would rather have them here, to be honest, but he's doing me a favor, so that's it. If he wants to keep them for the winter, they're there for the winter. Alright, it's October 21st, 2017, and this is a little update. I'm probably going to put one more hit of sugar syrup in that top feeder. I'm going to make it as thick as I can, and that'll probably be it for the year. It's getting cold now. It's 6 degrees today, feels like 2 degrees Celsius, and the bees are active and they're going out and they're doing stuff, but I don't think they're bringing much in now. I'm pretty sure everything has long since dried up and died. They may be bringing in a little bit of pollen here and there, but haven't seen that for a few days. I still see a lot of drones, and I don't see any drones being kicked out. Like, I don't see them on the ground, dead on the ground, which is usually what happens. So down here, I've got the 1/4-inch mesh on, 6mm mesh on to keep the shrews out. Hardly any bees are going down on that bottom entrance. And here we can see this is the feeder. This is the empty moisture quilt on top, but underneath it is the feeder, and you can see the water, or the syrup, sort of on a pretty big tilt here because this hive is on a tilty hill. Anyway, and the bees are down there, clustered, coming up through the feeder, the trough for the feeder. And I think they're clustering as much as they are feeding. They're down in the syrup too, but I think they're just coming up through here because it's just where they're clustering these days. This end of the feeder, the syrup is practically at the bottom, but at this end it's almost at the top, and this shows you the angle that this hive is at, but that's good enough, doesn't matter. Alright, it's October 22nd, 2017. It's -7 degrees Celsius, and yesterday I filled up that top feeder with syrup, and it's cold, and so that's the last time I'll be filling it up this year. And as soon as I can, I'm going to remove it and either put the moisture quilt on top of it and fill the moisture quilt, or put a piece of hard insulation over the top. And the hard insulation is like that stuff right down there. And I've got the 1/4-inch mesh on the bottom entrance. And as soon as I notice that the bees aren't really doing much in the top and they've clustered down below and most of the drones are gone, I'll put the 1/4-inch mesh on the top as well. But for some reason they haven't expelled the drones yet, so I still don't know what's going on with that. I think that could be a sign of something bad happening, but I haven't got the time or the energy or the strength to tear that hive apart and find out what's going on. So I'm just going to hope for the best. And that is it. October 22nd, definitely pushing the limits of how long the syrup feeder can stay on the hive, especially when it's minus 7 degrees Celsius. Oh, and I'm also thinking about painting one of the boxes black, or maybe one side of the hive black for the winter instead of wrapping it. I hate wrapping. I just hate wrapping. So I'm curious if anyone's ever actually done that, painted a hive black. I've never done that. I think it's crazy because black would just cook in the sun so bad. It just seems like a crazy thing to do, but maybe it's not so bad. Maybe if I just do the bottom box black, or one side of the box black, that gets a bit of sun. Who knows? Maybe not. Painting a colony black seems like a crazy idea, but I've recently been in touch with a beekeeper in Alaska who keeps bees in a similar condition as I do, which is close to a cold body of water in a freezing climate. And he paints his hives black, and he keeps them black all year round. And considering that Flat Rock is a particularly cold place in Newfoundland, it's so close to the ocean, it's always cold. I might, well, actually I've done it. I've painted all of my hives black. So the year 2020 is going to be the big test for my colonies in Flat Rock, because I'm going to have them all painted black. And they are all painted black, so it's going to be fun. Anyway, that's the end of that update. I'm going in, it's freezing. It's October 26th, about 9:30 a.m. and it's 7 degrees Celsius, and the sun is just hitting the hive, and the bees are starting to wake up. And to my surprise, they're down there. Zoom in on there. Boop. Yeah, they're down in the bottom. And I'm curious why they're down in the bottom. But I don't know. I'll take that as a good sign. And I'm going to take that screen off and let them remove any dead bees and debris and things that are going on inside the hive there. Oh yeah, and here's my little corky thing. I got the cork plugged into the hole there, and I got the other two holes are open at the moment, but I've been filling in those holes at night, usually when the bees are clustered. See right here, see if I'll zoom in. You can see some bees trying to take out a drone right there. Yep, there it is. So that's a dead drone, and they're hauling them out. So that drone either died or they killed it. Oh, there's another one right there. You can see it's a piece of a drone. There it is. Oh, there's a wasp there, but they're defending the hive well. There we go, there's a piece of the dead drone. I'm out.